Yo, what's good? It's your boy B-Dell. Today I'm going to give a logistical demonstration on the esoteric symbolism on the movie Matrix Resurrection 4 and how it basically correlates to everything that's going on today. But in order to have an intuitive perspective about how the Matrix works, you have to understand Vedic numerology. You have to understand gematria. You have to understand etymology. You have to understand Western occultism, because all those things are synonymous and esoterically connected to diabolical spiritual systems, which is the foundation of monotheistic religions that's governed by the Saturn and the Moon matrix, which is being controlled by the Luciferian Freemasonic order. But what you got to understand is that, they put this movie out. Let me get my screen share going. They put this movie out on December 22nd, the day after the 21st, for a reason, right? So they put this movie out because this numerical component right here is basically a sigil. A sigil is basically a sign and a symbol that's basically synonymous to esoteric symbolism. So this is basically a mirroring effect. So you got a 12 right here and you got 21 right there. So that's basically, the personification of sucking you back into a different, a different time shift and a different paradigm. So they got 22 right here. 22 is basically the symbology of the fact that you are ascending into a different, dimensional shift in a new year, because they know the planet is going through a megahertz frequency from 7.8 megahertz frequency to 10 and 12 and things of that nature, because the Kundalini energy of the planet is rising up, because the planet has chakra points, right? So you got chakra points on the planet. These are the energy vortexes right here. These are the, the locations, and the one that we have in America is in Mount Shasta, which is basically in California. So you see California going through a metamorphic shift through the plasma energy, and the solar radiation is being projected to the planet, which is why they're getting all these forest fires, because that landmass, that geographical landmass in itself, is being judged. So when you break down the etymological roots of the word judgment, judgment means, mentality. So you're being judged for your mentality, because that's where Hollywood is. You see what I'm saying? So all this plays a part of, the symbology of, occultic knowledge and things of that nature. So now in the beginning of the movie, they had the sigil number 506, and 506, 5 represents the microcosm. The 0 basically represents, the 0 point energy. And then you got the 6, which represents the macrocosm. And when you put them both together, that creates a numerical component, which is 11, and that 11 represents the cosmos, right? So now this also coincides with, secret societies, which is the Thelema Society, which is, created and founded by Aleister Crowley in 1904. Who was also a magician, and he was also connected to the Freemasonic order, which is basically a Luciferian system. So, the three-dimensional paradigm, which makes up people, places, and possessions, is what, you get controlled chaos and confusion, organized chaos and confusion, right? So when you're talking about, the matrix in itself, like I said, you're going through a dimensional shift. So when you got Neo, when he was in the mirror, when he was looking at himself, that was basically the symbology of the fact that he is shifting back into a different, a new paradigm that's trying to bring him back into the matrix, because he hasn't ascended and mastered himself, right? Because I think it was Theta Necros or whatever. That's what it means to know thyself. So when you haven't, mastered your spiritual paradigm, when you haven't mastered your physical paradigm, you cannot shift into a different dimension, which is why he was being sucked back in. That's where, like I said, he's being sucked back in through a different portal and a different time shift, because they know that the year of 2022 is going to be, the time when the planet is going to raise up in a megahertz frequency, and the Kundalini energy of the planet is going to raise up, because 2022 is the year of the serpent, and the people who control the planet know this. So like I said, this is the, the energy vortexes on the planet, the chakra points, right? So now, so when you're talking about the Saturn Moon matrix is basically being controlled by two celestial bodies, Saturn and the moon. And, you know, before we get into this, I need everybody to understand that the moon is an artificial construct that is being weaponized as a direct energy weapon to keep you mentally and physically subjugated to a three-dimensional paradigm, right? Because when you know, as far as everything that's being weaponized in the third dimension, you know, as far as, you know, fake history, fake food, fake medicine, fake education system, everything in this that's, you know, that creates the three-dimensional paradigm is what basically works against you. It works against time. So that's why they got Kronos, who's the god of Saturn, which is a representation of Capricorn, which is why he has goat horns on his head. Well, because the personification of Capricorn is the goat, right? So this is why they call him Father Time, Chronos, chronology, time. So because the three-dimensional paradigm, which creates the electrical current, that's why it's got electricity, it's got TRI in it, because 3 makes up the 3 people, places, and possessions that controls the electrical grid nodes on the planet, which creates the firmament, right? That keeps you spiritually trapped in a three-dimensional paradigm. So this is why you bound it on the frequency of time, right? So this is Kronos, the god of Saturn. And even when you look at this, it's a lot of esoteric symbolism, because it's got the Roscaharian cross right here. And that's also connected to the Freemasonic order, right? So now, when you're talking about, you know, this is getting into the scientifical Freemasonic, you know, symbolism when you're talking about the Matrix, because I need y'all to have an intuitive perspective about what is the Matrix in order to understand what the fuck happened in the movie. So Saturn, right? Saturn, this is the hexahedron cube, but the hexahedron cube is what creates subatomic particles, and it travels on ions, and it gives you the illusion of physical matter to where you can only see out your 2 physical eyes, and it basically calcifies the third eye, which is your spiritual eye, to where you can't see beyond the polarities of mankind, which is the beast. And the beast is what, you know, is propagated by the moon, right? This, which turns you into a lunatic from the lunar frequency. Because when you look at the grand scheme of everything, this is basically a frequency war, right? So this is basically biological warfare, because they want to keep your body, your flesh, trapped in a prism, a light prison, right? Because that light prism is basically the symbology of the hexahedron cube, which is Metatron's cube that's propagated by Saturn. So when you look at the symbology of all this, man, like you got the Star of David, you know, Star of Remphan, who is actually god of Moloch. And then when you look at the Freemasonic compass right here, this is all symbolism that keeps you trapped in the three-dimensional paradigm, to where you worship money, to where you worship anything that was created by mankind, instead of going within yourself to know who you are, to deviate from this system, right? So now, you know, when you're talking about the Saturn Moon Matrix, I need y'all to understand that, you know, you got these people who are basically an emulation of the Agent Smith, and we call them non-player characters. And a non-player character is basically an indoctrinated mental slave who is being weaponized by, you know, cognitive dissonance to keep this perpetual three-dimensional paradigm going. These are the people who think everything is a conspiracy theory. These are the people who venerate everything, you know, that the elite say, or the government said. They believe everything. They believe the pharmaceutical industry. They believe the Food and Drug Administration. They believe in these experts in the pharmaceutical industry, right? So these are the people who keep the program of the Matrix going on, because, like I said, these people are basically the personification of being socialized by a indoctrinated system to keep the system going, because the system is what controls the money system, right? So when you're talking about, when you break down the linguistics and prefix and suffixes or whatever, when you're talking about the Matrix, like the word money, M-O-N, Monday, M-O-N, all these things are basically propagated by the, the etymological roots of the word moon, because all those things, controls the frequency of time through the Saturn moon matrix. Because that's why they called the Babylonians, they used to call the moon sin, because they knew it was an artificial construct that was brought into our solar system by draconian reptilians. But that's a whole different topic. So the moon in itself is what creates, the illusion for these non-player characters to keep the system going. That keeps you in a perpetual state of being asleep, because, the moon itself was also called the sleep spell of Leviathan, the curse of Leviathan, which is called Kingu, which is called Shesky. So this is our original moon died a long time ago, because, God of the Bible, God and the devil of the Bible are basically one and the same, because it says that Satan, who is the prince of air, separated the intergalactic waters from the third dimension to where you have an atmosphere, and that atmosphere is controlled by an electrical grid node, which is the foundation of a firmament, and it controls the Saturn moon matrix through the electrical grid nodes, through the frequencies, the ion frequencies that's being projected to this planet. So when you're talking about non-player characters and you're talking about Agent Smiths or whatever, they're basically synonymous, right? Because you got people, the non-player characters, the people who believe everything's conspiracy theory, these are the same people who are basically computer generated spirits and souls. So when they die, right? So when you break down the etymological roots of the word gas, it means gas. Gas means ghost. Saturn is a gas planet. So when they die, these computer generated spirits, these people who are indoctrinated by the system, when they die, the ion frequencies project their souls and their spirits to planet Saturn, a gas planet. And then they extract it to the moon. And on the biosphere of the moon, there's a binary code system, the matrix, and they ship them back down to planet Earth. So this is the perpetual state of reincarnation. So, right, because everything that you venerate in this system is what keeps you spiritually boxed in this system to where you can't leave this paradigm. So now, when you're talking about Neo, when he was, the Matrix, Morpheus, right? You either got to take the red or the blue pill. So the blue pill is basically the symbology of the fact that you want to stay in docile. You want to be a mental slave. You want to be controlled by these people who are basically imperialistic elites, right? To where everything is working against you, even time, chronology, right? The Saturn and Moon matrix. So red is where you have the personification of having knowledge of self, to where you can deviate to where, so when the planet is going through a metamorphic shift by going from the third dimension to the fourth dimension to the fifth dimension, you can deviate from this system because you can see beyond the polarities and the dualistic principles that was created by mankind, because mankind is not natural to the planet. And I said that in my last video, right? So now I'm gonna show you, now, when you're talking about pills and you're talking about medicines, the pharmaceutical industry that's being, weaponized by the matrix. So when you read this at the top, this is a picture of Rudolf Steiner, who worked in the pharmaceutical industry during the 1800s and the 1900s. And it says that to eliminate the soul with medicine. So when it talks about, it says verbatim here, it says, with such a vaccine, you can easily make up the etheric body loose in the physical body. So that's telling you that, if you're a non-ether being, carbonated energy, which makes up 6 electrons, 6 protons, 6 neutrons, that connects you to the source through the solar radiation and solar transmission that gives you that God body energy, that, the medicines that's propagated by the pharmaceutical industry is what basically disconnects you from the soul. So it says right here, so the vaccine becomes a kind of a aromatic force, and man can no longer get rid of the materialistic feeling and becomes materialistic of constitution and can no longer rise to the spiritual. So like I said, there's no way you can be spiritual if you venerate anything that these scientists and all these people say, because like I said, this system is being weaponized to keep you mentally, physically, and spiritually subjugated to the confines of, their contrived reality, the illusionary world. So now I'm going to show you a video of Neo, and he's basically blue pilling himself, you know what I'm saying? Because he wants to stay in this paradigm because he loves the, you know, the pleasures of, you know, going to work and this stagnant lifestyle, you know what I'm saying, which is not normal to, you know, humanity. So I'm gonna show you the trailer of it right here.
Am I crazy?
We don't use that word in here.
See, I need you to understand something. That psychiatrist is, you know, he is basically an emulation of the people who try to, you know, oh, you're thinking too deep, or, you know, it's not that deep. You know, everything's not a conspiracy theory. You know, believe what the scientists say. That is what that psychiatrist, he is basically, you know, the personification of those people who try to pull you back into the matrix, right? So I'm gonna keep going.
Wait a minute.
Now I need you to understand something. That is a Freemasonic handshake right there. So that's, you know, secret society, occultic knowledge right there. I don't know what the, you know, the foundation of it, because I didn't really look into it, but that's definitely a Freemasonic handshake right there. One pill makes you larger. Now you see where his eyes change up. Eyes are the windows to the soul. So when he's blue pilling himself and he wants to stay in this perpetual state of, you know, this contrived reality, to be in an elusive state to where he don't want to see the truth. He want to be docile. He want to be indoctrinated by the system. He want to believe in everything these people say, because I could tell everybody, man, like, how can you believe in a system that was built on colonization? So from the jump, you know what I'm saying, if you lie about history, you got to lie about everything else. So why would you venerate and propagate anything that these people tell you? You know what I'm saying? That tells you that this system is being weaponized by an artificial construct who is not natural to the planet. You makes you small, and the ones that mother gives you don't do anything at all. So, you know what I'm saying? You got a lot of people, you know, who also call themselves, you know, speaking against the Matrix and stuff like that. But these are the same people who took, you know what I'm saying? Like, how can you call yourself, you know, talking about you want to lead the Matrix and you took the motherfucking vaccine? That's like multiplying any number by zero. That don't make no sense whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, man, you can see how they do with the medicine, because the medicines have this, it's basically, you know, creates these psychotronic, you know, nanoparticles inside of them too. The nanotechnology that's in the pills inside. You know what I'm saying? Because those nanoparticles, those nanotechnologies is what keeps you acclimated to the algorithm of the matrix, to where you can be controlled, you know what I'm saying, through the ions and the frequencies that's permeating the stratosphere in the atmosphere. Now, another thing I need y'all to understand is, like, when you're talking about the Trinity, the Holy Trinity, they know that the, you know, the divine feminine and divine masculine together, that when they work in synergy, that creates the unification. And that unification is basically the symbology of the fact that when you unify as a people, you can deviate from the system. Can't nobody do it fucking by themselves. There's no type of messianic figure, you know what I'm saying, that can do it by themselves. There's a messianic figure that can basically, you know, bring everybody together to deviate from the system. But, you know, this basically has to be done as a collective. It's one of those things, man, you can't, you know, you can't defeat the matrix by yourself. You know what I'm saying? You can free yourself, but in order to beat the whole thing in general, you need everybody. You need everybody thinking on the same frequency in order to do it. Only the chosen ones. So when you're talking about the chosen ones, you're talking about the 144,000, right?
We can't see it, but we're all trapped inside these strange repeating loops.
So being trapped in a perpetual, you know, a perpetual loop of, you know, where you venerate, you know, people, and you venerate places, you venerate possessions, you venerate everything. Like I said, everything in the three-dimensional paradigm is a soul trap, right? So when your soul is trapped in this artificial construct, you cannot ascend out of this, you know, fake reality. So that's what, you know, the message was. And then at the end of the movie, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the movie, they had these zombies. So these are the people, that is basically symbology, you know, of the people who are mentally unstable. So as the energy intensifies on this planet, they're going to be mentally unbalanced because they're not operating from the right state of mind because they have lost their soul. They are the ones who took the blue pill. And that's going to happen at the end of the clip, but I had to reiterate that.
Oblivious.
See, sometimes your boss can be an Agent Smith. Sometimes you got Agent Smiths in your family. These are the people who try to, make you deviate from your spiritual journey. You know what I'm saying? These are the people who are who feel dismissive and combative about your spiritual growth. They want to keep you, acclimated to the same things that they venerate. You see what I'm saying? They want to keep you on that low vibrational frequency to where you can't mentally ascend from the dualistic principles of the system. They want to keep you vibrating on a low frequency. They want to keep you deaf, dumb, and blind. They want to keep you part, of the 85%. You know what I'm saying? Because everybody's not going to make it to the 5D earth. But like I said, you have to free yourself mentally because everything is propagated by the mind. Because when you change your mentality, you change your vibration. That vibration creates magnetism to where you manifest a real reality. And a portal is made of plasma. In order to go through a portal, you have to be made up of a carbonated body, meaning that you have to have melanin, neuromelanin. So it's kind of cute that they have, these people playing in these movies and they going through these portals and stuff like that. You have to have a certain amount of genetical properties in order to go through a portal. That's why they showed you in the movie Lovecraft Country, they needed a black woman to go through a portal. That should tell you right there. And I need you to understand something. Deja vu is a metaphysical ability, meaning that, that is basically, synonymous to you activating your Akashic records to where you could remember certain things that happened in your past life or whatever. So that was the symbology of the cat. The cat is the symbology of, you activating your pituitary gland to where you're in a manifestation of blankness, to where you can activate those metaphysical genes to where you can remember things in your past life. Because the past, is basically the gateway in order to put yourself in a state of reality, to know what's going on, intuitively. See, like I said, this is basically, the personification of the Great Divide. You're going to have people, the ones who venerate, the diabolical juice that's, being advertised by the pharmaceutical industry and things of that nature. And you're going to have the chosen ones who didn't want to take it. So that is an emulation of what's going on in this movie. That's why you got the chosen ones versus the ones who believe in everything that, these imperialistic elite say, you know what I'm saying? Because this is a Luciferian society. Everything is predicated upon chaos and order. That's their motto, you know what I'm saying, which is, created by Aleister Crowley. I told you, he's the one who created the Thelema Society. So as you can see, secret societies, the Freemasonic order, sigil magic, Western occultism, all this is acclimated to what's going on today because they know, as far as being, a microcosm in the macrocosm, all these, correspond with the astrological alignments of the planet because they know their time is up, because that's why the frequency of the lunar energy, has basically phased out. So the 6,000 years is up. So, which is why, the foundation of the matrix cannot hold, it cannot hold any weight, you know what I'm saying? Because the firmament, the electrical grid nodes of the planet, which controls the matrix, all that is being depleted by the solar radiation that's being projected to the planet, which is why, in Chris during this time right now, it's like 70 degrees outside, you know what I'm saying? Because the solar radiation is what's going to create the clarity, is going to create the separation, because the artificial constructs of this world, which is controlled by the moon, you know what I'm saying? The lunar cycle has phased out. So we transition over into a solar cycle, which is the foundation of the Great Conjunction, because we entered out of the equinox. And I basically specified a lot of that in the last video. Like I said, they jumping off that building together, man. It takes unity. You can't do it by yourself, because like I said, unity is the foundation of deviating from the system. You know what I'm saying? You have to have an exit plan. You can't just do everything by yourself, you know. So that is basically all I had as far as like that's what I got out of the movie. It was a very it's not as complex as the other three Matrix movies, but this one was, like I said, it was pretty straightforward. It was very simplistic, so it was easy to break down because it didn't really have of a lot of deep meaning behind everything in the videos or everything in the movies or whatever. So this was basically my take on it. So get this video out, share it, and thanks for watching.